So we are gonna do a little intro lecture for this lab, for lab 6, and we'll begin with a little light. There we go. It's on soldering. So we aren't going to get into great detail on soldering, and you're not going to be awesome at soldering at the end of today, but hopefully you'll be able to throw something together. That's kind of the idea. So, soldering is the process of joining two pieces of metal, which we call workpieces, by introducing molten metal called solder, which bonds to both metals, creating a solder joint, which joins the workpieces both mechanically and electrically. In large-scale production of printed circuit boards, or PCBs, soldering is automated. Okay, so there's not somebody soldering every joint on these. However, when prototyping for applications that require strong mechanical connections or have space or weight constraints, the mechatronicist must solder the prototype circuit. So it's very useful. Before you begin soldering, please watch Colin Cunningham's video, Introduction Soldering. So there is a link. I recommend it. It's a nice little, it's like 5 minutes video. So after this, TAs can go ahead and show that YouTube video. Here are a few additional tips. 1, integrated circuits such as the 555 timer, which we'll be using in the lab this week, can be easily damaged due to excess heat. So it is important not to overheat it, keeping the iron on the terminal for as little time as possible. Less than 2 seconds is a good rule of thumb. Practice by soldering other components first, so don't start with the 555 timer. That one's one of the more delicate ones. Use flux paste, which aids in breaking the surface tension of the melted solder. I don't know if we're going to be using solder that has flux already in its core or not. If not, then use the paste. It kind of helps the process along. Tinning, piece of advice 3. Tinning the tip of the soldering iron will improve its performance. Tinning is putting a little bit of solder on the tip of the soldering iron. So clean the tip, introduce a little bit of solder to it. Once the tin wears off, introduce some more, clean it again, introduce some more solder. An oxide layer will periodically form on the tip of your iron. To remove it, simply wipe the tip on a wet sponge. There will be sponges around, and make sure that you get them a little bit wet before. Sometimes it's tempting to do it without, but it's worth it. Temperature control allows you to find the ideal temperature so that it will solder without overheating the components. So that's one nice thing. Some of the soldering irons we have temperature control knobs. 650 to 750 is a good range to be in. It kind of depends on what you're doing. Lower temperature is better if you can get away with it, but in some cases you need the higher temperature. 6, the soldering iron is extremely hot, so practice caution when using it. Always place it in the holder when it's not in use. It's really tempting to just set it down on the bench top. I don't want you to catch something on fire, or yourself, especially yourself, on fire. So please don't. Okay, that's it for this. Watch that video and be safe.